we are, folks. Today's show brought to you by me. I paid for everything there. Anyway, we're going to be talking with Randy Sutton, who's with the Wounded Blue. Did I get that right, Randy?
So far, so good.
Can you hear me? Okay. I'm ready for an ass turn anytime here.
No, you're doing good.
Anyway, though, he's got an organization that he started, and we'll go into what he did, why he started it, and all that here in a minute. But the organization is for law enforcement officers, and I'm assuming anywhere in the country that have gone through traumatic events, crisis, critical incidents, got hurt in the line of duty, assistance, even up to legal representation and stuff I saw. But Randy, what did you do to get this going?
Well, you got to know a little history before I answer that question.
Let me back. Yeah, I'm kind of going off the cues my co-host sent me, so it was like, why did you start it? Well, actually, we got to go into the background first. I don't think Rich ever worked in detectives, so.
No, I did,
Oh, did
actually,
you?
but yeah. There's a lot I
Anyway.
did I don't know about. But
All
Randy,
right, so
tell us
yeah.
who Randy Sutton is.
All right, so by way of a little background, I did a total of 34 years as an active duty law enforcement officer. I started my career in Princeton, New Jersey, a small community in where the university is, 32 officer police department, and joined the department when I was 19 years old. So I was
Wow.
very, very young and very inexperienced in life. And I thought I was ready to be a cop. Well, I look back on some of the decisions I made as a 19-year-old police officer, and some of them were a little, a little questionable, shall we say, as far as my judgment goes. But everything was black and white back then for me. And but I spent 10 years as a policeman there, 6 years as a patrol officer, 4 years as a detective, and I was literally almost halfway to retirement, but I was bored as hell working in a small department. And there wasn't any room for growth. There wasn't any action. We called ourselves grin and wave cops because we would drive around town going, "Hi, Mrs. Jones, how you doing?" And it wasn't challenging to me. So I realized I wasn't going to make 25 years working in this department. So I researched different agencies. I knew I was going to go to a bigger agency, one that had action. And where do you go for action as a cop? Well, Las Vegas. And so I began my career all over again. Started in as a patrol officer. Had to go through the academy, go through field training, do the whole thing as if I were a rookie, and began my career all over again. I did 24 years with Las Vegas Metro PD in various assignments. I was a patrol officer, field training officer, undercover narcotics detective, patrol sergeant, training sergeant, task force supervisor, and then finished up my career as a graveyard shift street lieutenant, because in Vegas, that's where the action is. And that was my career in a nutshell, 34 years.
Wow. That's kind of like what I went through. Went through auto theft, GID, did a little sex crimes detective stuff, did general detective stuff. And then when I promoted, graveyard shift sergeant. So, and yeah, that's kind of cool. You're not into law enforcement until you work graveyard. You can't call yourself a cop until you're on graveyard. That's just it. So
on the weekends.
But yeah, on weekend graveyards. Oh man.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, what got you into this once you retired? I mean,
Oh, I did a lot of other things along the way,
Yeah.
along the way of being a police officer. Um, I was very fortunate to have been chosen as one of the first officers on the TV show Cops, and did I was one of the most featured officer on the show for numerous seasons, including some of their specials. So from that, I got some roles in films such as Casino with I did a scene with Robert De Niro and Sharon Stone, and then I did a movie called Fools Rush In with Salma Hayek, Miss Congeniality 2 with Sandra Bullock, and other movies and TV shows throughout the years. Also, written a number of books, including this one that you see over my shoulder. That was my first book called True Blue: Police Stories by Those Who Have Lived Them. And I did that book after the World Trade Center was attacked. Um, I collected stories from cops from all over the nation, put them in a book, and I donated all of the royalties to the Widows and Orphans Fund for the cops who were killed in 9/11.
That's
And
awesome.
that launched my writing career. And my latest book just came out a couple months ago called Rescuing 911: The Fight for America's Safety. And that hit number one Amazon bestseller within days. So I've done a lot of other things other than just be a cop. I was also a police trainer for many, many years. In fact, I still am. And all of those things played a role in what I do now. Because what happened was I did not intend to retire when I did, but I suffered a stroke in my police car. And that's what ended my police career and almost ended my life. But what took place next was what shocked me. And that is that my own department turned its back on me and said, "We're not paying your medical bills. We're not giving you your benefits."
Wow.
And I was, "Wait a minute, you can't do that. It's the law. You have to do it." And I said, "Yeah, well, make us." So I literally had to get a lawyer. I had to go to court. It took well over a year, almost a year and a half. They spent tens of thousands of dollars of taxpayers' money to fight me.
Wow.
And it was very, it was felt like betrayal. It was a very
Yeah.
dark time in my life. Here it is, the department that I served for 24 years. In fact, I went to go see the sheriff, who is the boss in the Las Vegas Metro Police. I served with him for 24 years, and I said, "How do you treat me like this?" He looked me right in the eye and said, "Randy, this isn't personal, man. Just business." And that's exactly what it was. It was just business because you see, I was no longer an asset to the department. I was now a financial liability. And I couldn't figure out why they were drawing this out so much. Well, the harsh reality is they were hoping I would die in the meantime. And that way they wouldn't have to pay. And that's a very bitter pill to swallow as a police officer. And that is when all of the stuff that I told you about my background came into play. Because of being so visible in the law enforcement community, cops started reaching out to me. "Randy, I know you don't know me, but I was shot in the line of duty. My department's abandoned me. Randy, I was paralyzed in a traffic accident when a drunk driver hit my police car. My department has thrown me away." All these heartbreaking messages. And I realized that this wasn't just me. This is happening to cops all across America. And so, um, realizing that, I looked for resources for these men and women because literally every single one of these messages said, "I feel forgotten. I feel alone. I feel abandoned."
Yeah.
And then the worst was, "I wish I'd never survived that night." I got a lot of them, and realized that there's no support for these men and women. So I created it, and that is the Wounded Blue. And we've helped more than 15,000 police officers in the last 6 years. So we exist as a peer, literally a resource for every police officer, every law enforcement officer in America and their spouses, because we do spousal support as well.
Awesome. Wow. How does one reach out to the Wounded Blue if
That's got to be.
Well, outreach is a really critical component of what I do. I'm on social media all the time. I do. I'm a commentator on a number of news platforms like Fox News, Newsmax, One America News. I do podcasts literally all over the world, and I
Wow.
talk about these topics. And then we have a website, thewoundedblue.org. People reach out to us through that. People reach out to us.
Good.
We have a hotline number that people, in fact, just last week, I was talking about a topic on Fox News, and a police officer was watching and heard me introduced as the founder of the Wounded Blue and Googled it and reached out to us that night and said,
Wow.
I'm gonna kill myself if I don't talk to somebody. And we wound up
Yeah.
communicating with him for about 3 hours and literally got him into treatment the next day. So
Great.
from just knowing who I am and seeing what the Wounded Blue does probably saved a life that night.
Wow. Yeah, I've done a lot of.
One of the guys I went to the academy with uh, went to a couple smaller agencies, and he was working at Youngtown Police Department.
Yeah.
And he ended up getting cancer. Went off work, and then they just said, "You're done. We're not going to pay you anymore. You're not covered on health care. None of that." And then subsequently later, I guess a bunch of people raised money for him, and then he ended up passing away. And I mean, it's a common thing, and it's like you said, business. It's just business. We had that reservation cop here. Remember, not too long ago, he was shot in the line of duty, and done. Couldn't go back to work. They extended his medical time, and then they dumped him. And
Yep.
you know, for somebody that steps up to the plate and does this for the community, and then you get your back turned, they turn their backs on you. You know, that ain't right. You know, they obviously don't do it for the military. I mean, the military's pretty well taken care of in certain things, and there's a lot of stuff out there for them. Stuff still goes wrong with veterans and different things, but the cops are oftentimes forgotten about. You know, just your name's not in the news anymore. You're not doing this. See ya. And you're right. You become a liability to the agency financially. It's unacceptable.
Randy, has anything changed with that department you were with as far as the climate, the environment of helping officers that maybe have gotten injured after your tenure, or are they still the same?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the sheriff that is the present sheriff, present day, is a friend of mine and contacted me when he was running for sheriff because part of what he ran on was being more responsible for the health and welfare, mental, physical, and emotional health of the cops.
Great.
He's very. In fact, he created an entire new bureau just for
Wow.
health and wellness. So yeah, things have changed, and I'm
Awesome.
happy to say that I was able to play at least a role, a little bit of a role in that.
Great. Yeah, that's great.
That's awesome. I know that me and Rich were talking about it in the sheriff's office that we worked at. Rich was saying something that now that's kind of been put to the forefront for mental health and that type of thing for deputies down there, and yeah, forever they didn't have anything, and then when you retire, see you, you're done. No
Yeah,
concerns
that's
about.
I'm glad you brought that up because we are also a resource for retired officers as well. Because the fact of the matter is, just because you hang up your badge and gun doesn't mean that all those memories and all that trauma goes away. It doesn't.
They
So,
stay
in
there.
fact, they absolutely. So we have a National Law Enforcement Survival Summit that we give each year in Vegas. It's going to be September 21st through the 25th, and it is life changing. I wish I could have every police officer in America attend one of these because we've had cops literally stand up and say, if it weren't for this conference, I was going to kill myself. That's how dramatic it is.
You
And
know,
this is
and
something that every police officer should attend.
yeah, I mean, there are things that happen over your career, the course of your career, however long it is, and then you retire. They don't ask you, hey, you want to sit down and talk with us about this and about that? They don't do that. They go, oh, you want to be a reserve? Nope. Okay, turn your shit in. Here you go. We're gone. And then that's it. You're done. You know, and that kind of is hard. I went to another agency when I left, when I retired. I wasn't quite done. So I went to DOT and was doing commercial vehicles out of Kingman. And I came across an incident, and I think Rich heard about this, was uh,
Yeah.
a vehicle rollover. And it was a 21-year-old girl driving it and a little 5-year-old in the car. The kid was okay in his car seat, but she wasn't. And I didn't think it affected me. You do your stuff. You just do what you
Go
need
on
to
to the
do at the
next.
time. But then when I started on that long drive back into Kingman, I'm like, well, that ain't good. And it brought up memories of other incidents that I was exposed to over those years. And I just sat at my desk in Kingman staring at the computer. And the lieutenant there goes, hey, you okay? I go, well, I don't know, man. That's got me thinking. And he goes, take the day, go home. Here's a number to call. You know, at least they were providing a resource. But I don't think it really happens a whole lot when I was starting out and going in. And, you know, programs like this are so important.
Well, we've come a remarkable way
Oh yeah.
in my in the 50 years that I've been active in law enforcement. It used to be, it was a suck it up buttercup,
Yeah.
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 you dealt with it, and if you even talked about it bothering you, you were a pussy.
Yeah.
And
Or
you
you'd end up on the rubber gun squad, right?
or yeah,
You'd,
right. Or they would just you'd
Yeah.
be isolated. You'd be put in a corner somewhere. So
Yep.
people just shut the hell up and didn't say anything.
yeah,
And that devastated a lot of people. That's why our suicide rate is so high. That's why our
it is.
alcoholism rate, our addiction rate, our suicide rate, our divorce rate, everything all plays
Yep.
into the reaction to trauma. And we never even understood trauma. And many times in many places we still don't. Listen, the in where's it? Montana. The governor of Montana just vetoed a bill recognizing post-traumatic stress as an injury. I mean, today, even today, you have a governor who says post-traumatic stress really isn't real. I want
Wow.
it's incredible even now. So it's still a long, hard fight, and still it's very difficult for people to get the courage to reach out sometimes. And that's
It
why
is.
what we do is so critical. Even departments that try to do it right, there's still a huge distrust.
Yeah.
Well, we're a resource for every cop in America and every police agency in America too. There's chiefs that call us and request us to respond to certain traumas, and I've had teams at different police agencies literally spending weeks there
Yeah. Well,
helping out.
sorry, we got a monsoon blowing in through here. So if you see the screen go froze, the Starlink connection, the monsoon, and lightning all around, it's crazy. But
Gotta love it.
yeah, yeah, we need the water.
Yeah. So yeah, I
But
Right.
started out in 1994, the sheriff's office that I was with, on the peer support team. Spent 31 years on it and watched it grow from literally just 5 officers out there to help other officers to where we now have, or they have. I just retired in December after 35 years. They now have a full-blown health and wellness division, with CISM, the Critical Incident Stress Management Peer Support. They have
Right.
nutrition. They have nutritionists. Yeah, they've come a long way. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. Nor is any department's peer support perfect. But they've come a long way. They're doing a lot of great things, and I foresee a lot of good things, especially with this new sheriff that they just recently got elected. I see a lot of good things coming in the future for that office.
That's great. It's good to hear. Good to hear that they have progressed to that point. That's excellent.
Oh yeah, because I remember the days that, as you mentioned, Curly mentioned, you didn't talk about your
Go back
issues.
into that, reboot
You
it.
didn't bring it up. But now, there's networking where if you don't feel comfortable talking to your agency, you can call another agency's peer support, and they have that MOU, memo of understanding. You can contact them or organizations like yours. They can reach out and contact and get some help and direction.
Exactly, exactly, and that's we're seeing leaps and bounds over what was. So it's
Oh
very
yeah.
encouraging.
It is. So you said the Wounded Blue's been out there for about 6 years, right?
Yeah, we've been active for about 6 years, and during that time, we've touched the lives of almost 16,000 police officers from around the country and their spouses. So yeah, we're very proud of my entire team is made up of officers who have been shot, stabbed, beaten, run over, screwed up, screwed over, faced serious post-traumatic stress, and come out on the other side. So we know the trauma personally, and we've
You're
come
based.
out.
I was going to say you're based out of where, and do you have representatives in each state, or is a lot of it done by internet phone calls, or do you fly somebody out to somebody? How does the system work?
Or D, all of the above. So yeah, we're
Okay.
based in Las Vegas. That's where we're headquartered. But I have team members all over the country, and we're expanding. We're going to be probably doubling our number this year, and we hope to one day have chapters in each state. But
That
right
would be
now,
awesome.
much of it is done over either over telephone or over the internet or one on one, and then again at our summit because we do a lot of interaction there. So it's very fluid and very we're very flexible because everybody's journey is their own, but very similar to other journeys.
How does one become a member, part of your organization to be that guy going out helping others?
So we have on our website, thewoundedblue.org, we have a contact form that says join our team. And
Okay.
so we have a lot of applicants. Almost everybody on our team has faced either physical injury, become disabled. We have a lot of active duty cops still though, who have faced injury and come back, or faced serious emotional trauma, dealt with it, and have come out on the other side. So almost everybody has had some type of either physical or emotional trauma.
Okay. Good.
One
Awesome.
of the
Good
one
to
of
know.
the things that you go through is it takes money to run an organization like this. You're a nonprofit. What do you do to get sponsors, supporters, money coming in so you keep the program going?
Yeah,
And is there anything?
I struggle with this literally every single day. Trying to raise enough money to keep things going is a constant struggle because we don't get big grants. We live on the donations of people that care. Um, it is very difficult. We have some pretty good sponsors, especially for our survival summit, and so we look to businesses that thrive on police sales, and we go to them and they say, hey, this is you make your money on us. How about supporting us? And some do, some don't. But it's always an issue. and it's very difficult. So, we have, the website, thewoundedblue.org. That's where you can donate. Also, right now we are raffling off a beautiful Harley Davidson, and so for every $20 you donate on the website, on this particular Harley website, you get 18 entries to win this gorgeous Harley Street Glide with that's got like 900 miles on it.
Awesome.
So if you want to support the organization and potentially win a Harley, go to thewoundedblue.org, see the Harley raffle, and start spending some of your money.
You ride a cycle?
My riding days are over. After I did for many years, but these old bones aren't so flexible anymore.
Yeah. Hey, couple side questions for you. When did you retire out of Las Vegas?
2010.
2010.
Well,
Were you
So
there
for your
the,
so that would be 15 years ago, just for your your
oh,
mathematics.
for Arizona math? Okay.
yeah.
Anyway,
Well, not Arizona.
Yeah,
How about Ash Fork math?
No, I actually went to Catholic, so
Okay.
anyway, 2010. I'm trying to think when the biker thing happened in Laughlin, what year that was, and I was wondering if you were there for that because we had gone to the auto thefts.
Conference.
We had an auto theft seminar deal in Laughlin right after that happened, and they taught a class on outlaw motorcycle gangs, and I can't remember the guy from Vegas that came in to teach the class to talk about what happened at the casino between the two groups. But then,
Yeah, I remember it. I was working. I was not there though.
yeah, because that was the time I was in auto theft, so
Oh,
it's pretty interesting.
they had Model Ts then, right?
No, not quite. And you know what's funny is my old partner that worked auto theft with me. He passed away a few years ago, and I used to bust his chops over it. I told him his FTO was Wyatt Earp back in Tombstone, and he would just give me the stink eye every time I'd say it, just getting all mad. But hey, it happens.
It
happens
to us all, buddy.
Things change. It does. It does. But yeah, I can see where you would want to go to Vegas from New Jersey. I can tell you though, you haven't lost that accent. You still got it.
No,
because my mom.
I'm from Princeton. We don't have accents.
My mom. Oh yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. My mom was from over in Plainfield back before it became kind of nasty. And that's the Italian side of my family back there. And she was from over there. And all my cousins are back there. In fact, one cousin who's worked for Secret Service under Ford, so that tells you I'm old. He was doing some stuff. He worked for Newark PD or something like that. And he saw some nasty stuff over in the bigger cities in New Jersey. But I can see wanting to go west and to Vegas because Vegas is cool. They get a lot of stuff. A lot of things going on there. I mean, everything. So you get exposed to a lot. Then that agency, the Metro, which is something they should have done here rather than have 20 different agencies. Yep. They needed to do a Metro agency with the sheriff who's elected in charge of it. Kind of like, exactly like Vegas. And it would have really worked out nice, but too many egos, too many police budgets all over the place. And
yeah, we had a good opportunity to do that
in
the early 90s here, but no one took it. When all the other little agencies Chandler, Gilbert, all started popping up. We could have made one gigantic metro agency and had a lot of uniformity, a lot of strength, but it just never happened. So,
Yeah. So one of the questions that my co-host sent me: who's your hero in law enforcement?
and don't say me.
Don't worry. Actually, my hero in law enforcement is a name that nobody would know, but he was my hero. He played a very significant role in my life, and that was I originally was a cadet before I became a cop. So I was in high school as a cadet, and there was a so you know the way they treat cadets, right? You're a kid, you're a
They're
gopher,
grunts.
yeah, and I mean, you're literally the
Yeah.
coffee boy, right? So that's the way most of the cops treated me. One of them did not. One of them who was our, remember it's a small department, but this guy was our lead detective, and this guy
Okay.
treated me like a human being, and I never forgot that. And then when I became a patrol officer, he got promoted to sergeant, and I wound up
Oh,
working for him.
wow.
And he taught me something so valuable that it resonates to this very day. So I was like I said, I told you, my decision making capabilities at 19 and 20 weren't the best, and everything was very black and white. So
Oh,
I arrested everybody. Everybody got tickets. Everybody went to jail, and I thought that was the way to be a cop. Well, one night after a graveyard shift, this sergeant, his name was Tom, takes me aside and said, "Hey, Randy, let's go to breakfast." So we go to a little New Jersey diner, and I'm recounting to him, "Yeah, I arrested this guy, and then I did this, and then I did that. Yeah, yeah, yeah." And he's nodding, he's smiling. He goes, Randy, I got to tell you, you're really a good cop." And I was, well, thanks. And he says, "Yeah," he says, he says, you work your ass off. You know the law. You know search and seizure. You're very nice to people, et cetera, so forth. But he says, do you know the difference between being a good cop and being a great cop?" And that was not a question I expected. And I said, No. And he looked at me, smiled. He says, "It's one word. It's called compassion." And it
yeah.
changed the way I did policing forever. Changed the way I became a police leader. And so he was my hero then. He's my hero to this day. He's still one of my closest friends. And
Wow.
that lesson literally was part of his legacy and became part of my legacy.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. Right on. Rich.
Yes.
Who's your hero, Rich?
Well, I got to say, there's a few people that molded the journey for me. I can't pick out any one particular. Um, I could name a few. One was, I know Randy doesn't know him, obviously, but you remember Chief Pat Cooper? Uh, he was my sergeant at one time, lieutenant, and I thought he was one of the greatest people and um, gave people a lot of good direction and a lot of great advice. So I would say he'd be my number one hero. So,
Oh,
but
cool.
as all of
We're
us,
just
we cross paths with a lot of people that put a little bit in our tool bag and make us who we are.
yeah, we do. I keep having an issue with the one thing at my end here, and it could be storm related. If you guys can still hear me,
Yeah,
Oh
we
yeah, we
do.
can
We hear
hear
you.
you.
And
my father was a
you
cop.
look really good on screen. You look really good right now.
Oh,
That's
hey,
'cause we
thanks.
can't see him. Yeah, makes it easier to digest.
Okay, easier to digest. Yeah, right on, Rich.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, your
we say
paths
that with.
kind of
Go ahead.
over time. You meet people in your career that kind of inspire you or give you examples, and it isn't just uh, law enforcement. It could be citizens that leave a mark or that kind of thing where it influences you. And the compassion thing, that's a big thing. It started
Yeah.
when I was like 18 years old in the Navy, and I went to the ship. They made a movie about the gentleman. Actually, there's a challenge coin in here and a few pictures of him around. It was Master Chief Carl Bashir from the movie Men of Honor, the first black master diver in Navy, half a
Mm-hmm.
leg, and he pulled us. Just got to the ship, and he pulled us, me and the other new guy aside, and he sat us down and goes, "I'm Master Chief. Uh, if you guys do your job here, 110%, I'll back you up. If you have a problem, come see me first." And going through the routine, and he goes, "This isn't. You're not at home with mom and dad. You need to basically man up and carry your weight and do a good job." And it was pretty impacting on my life with how he was. And then when I heard his story of how he fought to get to where he was, it basically kind of lit me to stay focused and to never give up and to never, because throughout any career you do, you're going to have your ups and downs. You're going to face discipline. You're going to face any kind of thing. And having people like that come into your life and make an impact. And then my other buddy that I told you passed away, Bill, who was at FTO'd under Wyatt Earp, he was pretty cool. Really dry sense of humor. I think I only saw him laugh one time, and but he was super cool. He'd always, when I'd ask a question, being that young puppy, I'd say, "Well, let's go do this or let's go do that." He'd lift his glasses up and go, "Why don't you spit in my other eye? Here's how we're going to do it." And then I was like, "Okay, okay." But he was really good on interviews. He worked homicide. In fact, he worked a case that went to Vegas from Maricopa County and had to go up there a few times. But he was pretty serious, but he made an impression, you know, on how to do things the right way. And that's all you got. You do it the right way. You serve with compassion for the community, for people. Use your discretion,
Yep.
and yeah, you can make a career out of it. And what I'm seeing now, I don't know if you see the same thing, but a lot of the younger guys coming in, they're like afraid of their own shadow type of thing, where they don't want to get in trouble, so they don't want to do this. And some agencies, if you pull your duty gun out, you got to write a memo, do all these things, get called in an IA or whatever it is. And I think that has an impact on how they act, how they do things. And it isn't like when I first started, or you, Rich, or you, Randy, because things have changed. It's gotten a long way.
No, society's changed drastically,
What happened?
and the youngins that you're getting in law enforcement now, even the fire
Can you
service is
hear me?
having troubles. Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear me, Randy?
Go back.
I can't.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I was saying, yeah, it's changed drastically. The youngins that you're getting into the fire service and the police service, nothing like you had 10 and 20 years ago. Their abilities, their mindsets, uh, their educational level of just that hands-on stuff is nowhere near as what it used to be in the past. Very minimal life experience. So,
It's
yeah,
very
he's having a
true.
lot of trouble up there. But so when I was an FTO, I used to go out
Hey,
and I always wanted phase one I don't know how every agency is set up differently, but in ours, your first phase FTO was also your last phase, and then you had two in the middle, phase 2 and phase 3. I always wanted that first phase to put them in at ease, relax, and anyway, I would always tell them, treat people out there with compassion, just how you want your mother, your daughter, or your wife, or your sister treated. And if they escalate a situation, or if they change what the rules are of the playing field, I said, then you change with them, but you be that trendsetter and example, and be the good person. So
Oh yeah.
Right.
I mean, yeah. When I was a training officer and I'd get a new guy, man, it was rough sometimes. But
oh
we
yeah,
had computers, the MDCs in the car, and what one time I would just depend on the day, and I would tell them to pull over to the side of the road, turn their computer on, break out the notepad, and start answering the calls as if their computer died.
yep,
Break out the map book, know where you are, all that stuff. They don't do that anymore. They totally rely on technology.
yeah.
And here I
Take the
am with
cell
my
phone away.
show, I'm totally relying on technology, and it's not doing too good right at the moment. But yeah, I mean,
Up, I think you broke up there.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't hear him now.
yeah, no, he stepped off the air for a minute there. Okay, so jumping ahead a little bit, I'm not sure where he's going to go with it, but if there's officers out there that are looking for assistance, and say they're not looking at the wounded blue, do you, or they're not maybe comfortable in dealing with the wounded blue for whatever reason, do you offer them up to other entities, or do you give them direction, or how do you deal with
Sure.
those situations where if
We
they
work
really
with
want
a
someone local and not someone that's I'll say nationwide?
Well, we have a lot of different resources. We work with a lot of different other entities, both nonprofits and for-profit companies. We help people get into treatment all the time for addiction stuff. And so nobody can do all this by themselves,
No.
So working together with other organizations is critical to our mission. So yeah, we have a lot of different resources. We just did something pretty amazing. We we had a police officer who was severely injured in the line of duty. 7 years ago, he was in a fight with a suspect. During the fight, he fell back and hit his spine on the curb,
Mm.
and it severely injured him. And then his own department, they got him to the hospital, and the doctors say, you need back surgery, but we don't have anybody that can do it. So they just released him, told him to go home and find his own doctor. And then workers' comp said, well, if they released you, then you don't need surgery. And that began his downward spiral.
Yeah.
He's been in chronic pain for 7 years. He's had to undergo 13 different surgeries,
Wow.
and was told he would never walk again. And through an incredible donor, we had a connection with one of the finest spinal surgeons in the country, and he performed 3 surgeries on this officer, and that was just 2 months ago. And he has seen a different life change now as a
Yeah.
result. And the surgery was more than $250,000,
Wow.
and we paid for the whole thing.
Wow.
So we're doing some amazing stuff, life changing, life altering, life saving. Can't help all the people, but we sure as hell can help those whose lives we can touch. We
Yeah.
sure as hell do.
Well, I was going to save it for an off-the-air communication with you, but I'd like to know how I in Arizona can maybe, you were talking about chapters, you were talking about expanding, so we'll definitely have to cover that subject and see what the future holds. What you're doing out there, and maybe how we can help you grow.
Well, that would be welcomed. I can tell you that.
Yeah, you just need to give us some direction here in Arizona, and we'll see how we can maybe expand what your thoughts were of getting chapters started across the country and maybe getting people in place here in Arizona. I don't know what your contact with Arizona officers have been, how many, if any at all.
We've done a lot of stuff in Arizona. A lot of stuff in Arizona. In fact, we have a film called The Wounded Blue. It's on Amazon.com. It's
Okay.
a full-length documentary film, and I urge everybody to watch it. And one of the people that we deal with down there, as part of this documentary, is Rebecca Tiger, and the situation with her husband, the Phoenix officer who committed suicide because of the way his department treated him. So yeah, we deal with a lot of Arizona officers.
Yeah, I know we've had or I've come in contact with, again, having done the peer support for since 1994 till the end of last year. Not only in agencies, but we also assisted others out of agency, and the general public doesn't realize the trials and tribulations that not only law enforcement deals with, but the fire guys who we think are, have an easy job and are the angels out there, but they deal with a lot of stuff. They deal with a lot of stuff too. So the whole need for public safety to be taken care of is tremendous. A lot of stuff going on, a lot of things happening out there.
Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure where Curly went to, but I think maybe
he disappeared into the ether.
He didn't pay that Starlink bill, but
Yeah.
maybe you have some connections with Washington, with Elon. Maybe you can get him a little donation or something. Yeah, he moved up. He's way up between west of Williams, up in Seligman, somewhere up there is where he moved to. So he's out there on 80 some acres in the middle of nowhere.
Good for him.
I opted to stay in the North Phoenix area. If you know where Cave Creek, Arizona is.
I don't.
Scottsdale, but the North Phoenix area. So.
Okay. Yes, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm comfortable here with having Costco, Walmart right around the corner from me.
Yeah. For sure.
I think he may be back with us. I know we'll be wrapping it up here.
Yeah, I'm back by voice. We got a monsoon blowing through here right now, and my Starlink antenna's up on the roof, so it could be kind of sketchy. On the roof.
Or may not be on the roof.
I just looked. It is.
Oh, okay.
It is. It's just we needed the water, but yet what a day to have it. So.
Yeah. Is what it is.
Well, it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure, guys. I appreciate you having me on.
No, we thank you for being a guest on today's show, and we wanted to get that word of the Wounded Blue out there and make officers aware, and hopefully those that are watching, if they know someone in need, they can spread the word to the individuals. And if they don't reach out to you, at least reach out to somebody. Don't try to digest it and deal with it all themselves. There's people out there to help.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry for the technical thing. What a day. Anyway, I see that's the other thing, Randy. I live off grid, totally off grid. And this shed runs on solar. So.
Wow. Okay.
So it's kind of like days like today make it a little challenging. But yeah, I'd like to get you back on sometime when we got everything going correctly and talk a little bit more about it. I know that Rich and I are on the same page with it. Stuff needs to be done. In fact, I had a state legislator on here for Arizona on the show and told him about it. We need to get that stuff on. The legislation needs to be passed to recognize that, to get a budget just for that stuff for cops, not just retirement funds or PSRS or any of that stuff. They need to have that kind of a thing that they can go to and say, hey, look, here we go. But anyway, thank you for coming on. And what's going to happen is we're going to end, but stay on real quick.
Okay.
So you'll see the little things. So thanks again for coming on.
Absolutely,
My
Randy.
pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Mother Nature. Wow.